Hey, I had the opportunity to sit down with the current Minister of Foreign Affairs of Estonia, Margus Tsahkna, at Sydney Estonian House. Minister, welcome to Australia.
Thank you.
What do you see as the strongest ties between Estonia and Australia, and how might they be further strengthened?
I think that somehow if you live in Estonia, and because Australia has one of the largest Estonian community, so I think that for Estonians, Australia is not seem to be very far away. And it's not only about these people who were forced to leave Estonia because of the Second World War and Soviet occupation, but if you think about it, thousands and thousands of Estonian young people, they're coming to Australia with the working visas, so they're working here a year or two, and they come back when it's somehow Australia seems very close. And Australia is even participating in Eurovision Song Contest, so it's a part of European Union in some cases. And now we have more talks about the enlargement process of European Union, that Norway and Iceland should be in, and also maybe Canada because of the great relations with US. Why not Australia to have a referendum to become a member of European Union? But it's maybe a bit a joke. But at the same time, if you think about the foreign policy or the values, what we're standing for as two nations, they're very similar. They're like 100% similar. And especially if you see the Russian aggression to Ukraine, then we are very close there, and we see the existential threat that Russia is for Europe and for Estonia as well. But at the same time, we see that Australian government is really supporting, and all the Australian people, they're supporting Ukraine. They somehow naturally understand that this kind of aggressive behavior is not fitting into this global order what we have agreed after the Second World War. As well, economically, I think that there's one thing that it is well hidden is the fact that outside from China, Estonia is producing the largest scale of rare earth metals and magnets in the world. And my very practical reason to be here in Australia, to visit Australia, is actually this cooperation. And I think that no one mainly knows that one of the father of the Australian mining culture is actually the Estonian guy who actually escaped from Estonia, is Arvi Parbo, Sir Arvi Parbo. We have many of these kind of connections as well on practical level. So distance is far away, but in real life we are much more similar as we think.
Do you feel that there's also cultural and connections in humour between Australia and Estonia?
Yes, of course. This is Australia is having a totally different background about the society and history and so on. But somehow we see a lot of similarities about education, about innovation, I can say as well. But the sizes are different. I can very honestly say that many people in Europe as well in Estonia think that Australia is an island somewhere. But if you put this, the scale and this territory and covering the map in Europe, this is actually almost the same size as European Union altogether. But I think that the values, these are the main things what we are sharing about the freedom, about democracy, about the personal rights. This is something which is connecting. As well, the Australian society is very colorful by its culture background. Estonia is not maybe such a colorful, but we know in Estonia that for Estonians, Australia is like a safe haven. We have had this feedback, we're celebrating 100 years of Estonian society here in Australia. It was before the Second World War. We were already here, so somehow it is very much connected.
You're here to look in part at the mining and industry, but how important do you see cultural diplomacy and creative industry partnerships in building Estonia's international profile?
I think that if we're talking about business and practical relations, so these values which we are sharing, it's very important for our businesses as well, and to find the trustful partners. And this is something that we have 100% for confidential, that confidence that if our people coming here, this ecosystem is very similar what we have. And as a small nation and not so big companies, this is very important to share. as well this kind of like cultural background. You're not coming, even you're traveling the other side of the globe, to somehow come here and you feel yourself comfortable. And of course, the European background is very important. The same understanding that if you give your word, this word must be kept. But as well, if we are going to more practicalities, so I'm really happy about that European Union and Australia is now trying to start again the negotiations about the free trade agreement, and this kind of practicalities are really supporting. And as well, what we see that China is doing, they're more dominant on all different technologies and trade. And US President Trump has been declaring that America first interests are there. So all these are pushing us together more. Australia, European countries as well, Canada and many other. So I think that this environment and this situation is supportive as well to have more practical relations. Even the distance is pretty long.
Would your department do things like make recommendations to the Arts Minister about things like co-production arrangements and tax treaties for things like the film industry to strengthen these soft diplomatic ties? Or is that something that the ministries keep quite separate?
No, foreign ministry is actually dealing, of course, as a first priority, security policy, because we are living in such a neighborhood, and we have many common things with Australia as well on that level. Of course, support to Ukraine, the pressure on Russia, as well. We are talking about accountability questions, because Estonia is leading the process that after the war, the aggressor crimes must be put under the special tribunal, and we call in as well Australia to join this special tribunal of Russia about the aggression. These are the like political things. But at the same time, this cultural exchange is very important for us. Business diplomacy is something that the Foreign Service is responsible. We just hold the meeting with our Chamber of Commerce to push them more in cooperation. And it's not only about digitalization, it's about the defense industry, it's about culture, about education change. The cooperation between our universities is something we need to support heavily. We already have a huge change of our youth. Thousands of Estonians are coming here, maybe the other way around. So I think that this kind of soft power, as you meant it, is even more important, because on this hard power, hardcore policy, of course, we belong to NATO and European Union as Estonia. It's our like umbrella organizations, and bilaterally, it's hard to have like very practical agreements because Australia is in the region, is a leading and big country. But this soft power, as you call this, is even more important. That it doesn't mean what size country you are. You can collaborate a lot and change the world maybe together.
Yeah. So in uncertain times globally, how important are these kind of people-to-people connections, and what do you see as a pathway forward?
I believe as a foreign minister that we have these institutionalized relations, as governments and countries, they are like subjects of international law, and they are like based on this order what we agreed after the Second World War. There's a talk to each other. But in real life, actually only people to people is happening. Even the leaders, even the foreign ministers, they need to have like a face-to-face connection and also know to each other, if mainly on these critical relations. But the best diplomacy is reality. It's cultural exchange, people to people. It's business exchange, people to people, business to business. So these are the real connections. These are the real ties which are tying us together. So, and we are following in Estonia the principle after regaining our independence, two of them. The first, if Russia is coming, we fight back. But the second is even more important. We decided that this time we will never be alone again. We were alone when the end of the 30s came, and we were occupied after that. And we wanted to get rid of everybody. We wanted to have a good relation with Moscow and Berlin and Paris and London. We didn't understand that this neutrality policy is actually guiding us into this occupation. And now we have decided within the last more than 30 years that we need to build this relation with like-minded countries, democracies, as Australia is for a long term. And it doesn't matter who is the prime minister or foreign minister, because the real connection is people from people to people.
How does your personal background influence how you approach diplomatic relationship building?
Yes, my personal background is that I'm born in 1977, so when occupation of Soviet Union was in Estonia. So I remember how it was, but also I know my family stories that many of them were killed during the Second World War and after during the occupation. Many of them actually they escaped as well. Some of them they arrived even to Australia, but they're not anymore alive. So this is like the normal story of one Estonian family, I think. But personally, I studied theology, and then I studied law. And I remember I was studying international public law in 1999, 2000 at the University of Toronto, supported by Estonian community there. And I remember exactly, it was 19th of December 1999. I was studying before the exam period at the University of Toronto library. And it was some kind of a end of history times, if you remember that everybody was thinking that collapse of Soviet Union was happening and now all the nations are joining their hands and no bad things can happen in the future. And I was studying heavily and I somehow recognized that such a exemption as Estonia is with its freedom, 1.3 million people in the very bad neighborhood is enjoying the freedom again. It is a huge exemption if you see what is international public law and international relations are. And I would like to be in the room when the second part of 1930s will come back again. And I was not at this time in politics. I was just a young student. And somehow I was out from politics already. I used to be the defense minister and social minister a long time in the Estonian parliament. And then I helped to form the new political party and supported them. I said I'd never come back to politics because I had a very good life already. And then we were doing the great results in 2023 elections. And Kaja Kallas, at this time prime minister, called our party to negotiate. And I was asked that you have huge experience, let's negotiate in the name of our new party, Estonian 200. I did it, we did well. And then Kaja Kallas asked me personally, what position you want? And I said, no, I'm not coming because I have a good life. And then this 19th of December 1999 pumped into my mind as a memory. And unfortunately, we are now exactly in the time in Europe as the 1930s, the second part. Not because of Russia only. We have lots of different movements. We have lots of so-called different powers, this kind of freedom is not granted, I can say. The end of history times are over, definitely. And we have the question whether we should fight back and whether we will not be alone again. And then I changed my life again and I made my decision that my wife said that if I'm not taking this decision right now, we will be separated after 1 year. So if you ask me what is my background about doing the job as a diplomat right now, as a foreign minister, this is a long story about reaching this point to make very certain decision, changing my life again and serving the country because times are very, very difficult.
Looking to the future, what do you see happening between Australia and Estonia diplomatically, culturally, and creatively?
I see more and more cooperation and recognition on practical level. I see more prosperous, practical business relations, mainly about the defense industry, IT sector, AI, cybersecurity, as well rare earth metals, magnets, all these kind of things. Because somehow this global market is connecting us more because world is and will be even more divided in the future. So I think this is one thing. And the second, if you think about the map, if you think about United Nations, all these countries who are members of that. So the liberal democracy countries are in full minority. So we always think that we rule the world. No, world is changing more and it will be more complicated. I think that we need more cooperation because of these practical reasons that we are sharing the same values. And if we would like to continue the lifestyle what we have enjoying now in Australia, in Europe, we must be stick more together. So that's what I see.
And finally, you didn't have much of a chance this trip, but if you had one day off in Australia, what would you do?
One day off is too short. I really plan to come with my family to Australia, and my older brother was here last year, and he said that at least 3 weeks, and then you see maybe one part. It's really hard question with what to do within a one day, but I'm a sailor. I'm sailing a lot. I think that it is something connected with the sea. I don't know what exactly, but I feel it like this.
There's some beautiful islands to sail around, so
Yeah.
hopefully you can find some time to get in a boat and
Thank you.
get out and enjoy it.
Yeah, I will do that.
Well, thank you so much for your time. It's
Thank
been
you.
fantastic to speak to you, and glad you've made it to Australia.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Fantastic. Thank you.